Greetings, family. This is Leah, Salmon, the Naturally You coach, best-selling author, speaker, nutritionist, life coach, live blood analyst on a mission to help 100,000 Black women to eat for health, think for happiness, and live in harmony, or what I call becoming naturally you. And thank you for joining me today on this live, whether you're here live or via the replay. Thank you for coming. So today I'm going to be talking about how to protect your mental wellness during challenging times. And even though we are experiencing a very challenging time right now, which is COVID-19 lockdown and the mass rollout of the 5G network, that what I'm going to be sharing are actually things that you can implement during any time, during any challenging time, to help protect your mental wellness. So the other day I asked family if they had questions that they wanted me to answer or things that they wanted me to talk about, and this was one of the things that came up, was mental wellness and mindfulness and how to deal with things like anxiety. So I'm going to be sharing five, and one of them can kind of be broken into two, 5 things that you can do to help protect your mental wellness at this time. If you feel that this video is going to helpfully be able to help other people, then please feel free. Thank you for coming and joining me. Please feel free to share this on your page so that we can get other people around and involved. And I would really appreciate that. So there we go. Just making sure that I can be seen. All right. So before we get started, I wanted to just ask you to go ahead and check out my website, thenaturallyyoucoach.com, because I know not everyone is on social media all the time, but if you're on my mailing list, then you'll get a notification when I am about to go live and what the topic's going to be, as well as other content that I create and share, like articles, podcasts, other videos. I have the Naturally You Health store where I sell natural health and wellness products. I have a bookstore on my site as well where I sell 4 of the books that I've written. There's 2 more that need to get revised and come back out again. So if you join the mailing list at thenaturallyyoucoach.com, which should be in the description of this video, then you'll be notified straight away when that information comes out. And there's going to be some sales and special offers that are going to be coming out soon, which you will be the first to know about also. And there's actually some big exciting stuff that I'm working on as well, and you'll also be the first to find out about that. And then there'll be specific subscriber discounts for those big new fancy exciting things that are coming out as well. So I'm going to check in because I can't always see comments on here, so I'm going to check in and see if comments are coming through on my second device. And thank you, lovely people, for joining me. All right, so I have my work as a natural health coach has always involved me helping clients to focus on 3 main areas, which is eating for health, thinking for happiness, and living in harmony. So and that's what I call becoming naturally you. It's eating for health, thinking for happiness, and living in harmony. So just briefly, eating for health is focusing on making sure that a vast amount of your diet, the majority of your diet, is comprised of foods that you know work best for your body type. So not just necessarily like standard healthy foods, but foods that specifically work for your body type. And I help clients do this using a process called metabolic typing, where I can find out what balance of nutrients and what specific foods work best for your body, and then we put a meal plan together based on those. Because just because a food is healthy, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's healthy for you. One person's medicine is another person's poison, that whole concept. So that's one of the things that I help people with. The other thing that I help people with is living in harmony. And living in harmony is including the practices and activities in their life that support their health goals and that are complemented by them eating for health and thinking for happiness. So instead of someone trying to fit in yoga and meditation and deep breathing and hiking up mountains and writing a book and all of these different things, they'll just focus on the things that are specifically going to be beneficial to them and their life. Because quite honestly, some people are trying to fit in all these different things in their lives, and in reality, the most important thing that for them would be to get more sleep, and we're going to speak a bit more about that later. And then the other thing that I help people to do is think for happiness. Because most people are aware of the fact that most things that physically manifest in our life start in our mind first. So the clearer our thoughts are, the more abundant and positive our thoughts are, the more likely it is that we'll be able to manifest that in our physical reality. So thinking for happiness is helping people to, number one, recognize where they have challenging, thank you for the reactions, lovely people, is helping people to work out where they have challenging mindsets and beliefs and concepts that could be blocking them from achieving success, and then helping them to ascertain what happiness and what joyfulness and what satisfaction in life and success in life looks like for them, and then helping them to put together things like affirmations and goals and vision boards that help to bring those things into fruition. Thank you for joining me, Chess Tutor Asante. So those are the three things that I've always focused on helping clients to address: is eating for health, thinking for happiness, and living in harmony. And right now, this talk is more focused on the thinking for happiness area of the work that I do. Whilst everything is very interconnected, so some of the things that I'm going to be speaking about right now are things that involve you eating for health and you living in harmony. But the whole concept of this is helping you to think for happiness. Now, one of the expressions that I use a lot is where focus goes, energy flows. So we have to be very intentional about what we're allowing ourselves to focus on, because it's very easy to just become subjected to all the information that is being put out there at the moment. If you're on WhatsApp, you're probably getting inundated with WhatsApp messages because everyone's at home. I swear, I've got family members who I have not received this much attention from them in years. Now everyone's at home. I'm getting like 10 WhatsApp messages from them a day, which is lovely. But yeah, in and amongst not just family members, but friends and groups that you're on, you're probably, your phone memory, if you are on WhatsApp, I bet your phone memory is struggling and crying out right now for you to just leave some of the groups. Your notifications are probably popping off with people posting things on social media. Lots of people are going live, like myself, because they have more time to invest in this online stuff. And in and amongst those things, there's obviously going to be information that's beneficial for you, but there's also likely to be information that's coming at you that's possibly not as good for your mental wellness at the moment. Now, when it comes to mental wellness, it's very important for you to determine what your triggers are. And again, we're going to talk a bit more about this later on, but it's important for you to recognize what your triggers are so that you know, again, what you should be focusing on and what you shouldn't be focusing on, and what you should be allowing yourself to be exposed to and what you shouldn't be allowing yourself to be exposed to. Because quite frankly, some people are very resilient in many ways, and they can get a barrage of negativity thrown at them, and they have the ability to not let it affect their regular life. Now, don't get me wrong, it's all going into their subconscious, so they're going to have to possibly deal with it at some point anyway. So we still do need to be mindful, whether it's given us an immediate effect or whether it's just something that's going to be in our subconscious that could come out at another point, whether it's through our dreams or through conversations we have or through fears that manifest. Everything we are exposed to is going to go into our subconscious at some point. But some people are able to be exposed to a lot of negativity and it doesn't affect them, their mental wellness at that point, their ability to function in a balanced way mentally. But some people are very sensitive, and not everyone even recognizes that too much time on Instagram or watching too many YouTube videos or watching too much news is having a negative impact on them. So it is really important for you to just determine what level of mental wellness you're at the moment. If right now you feel very sensitive, you may want to take these recommendations a bit more, take them to the nth degree and really implement all of them. If you feel a bit more robust at the moment, then you may just choose to implement a few of them. So it is important for you to kind of work out what your level of mental wellness, or what you feel your level of mental wellness is at the moment. So what I'm going to recommend is that you focus and commit to working on these different areas, so that you're thinking for happiness and protecting whatever level of mental wellness you are at the moment. And part of what I'm recommending is going to help you to, again, work out where your level of mental wellness is at the moment as well. So let me just make sure that the sound is coming through. fine as well. Before we continue, so anyone that is just joining us, today I'm talking about how to protect your mental wellness during challenging times, and specifically this is a very challenging time because we are in the middle of a coronavirus lockdown. So thank you very much for everyone who's joined and who has shared the live as well. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend you do is to schedule in self-care. So not just randomly deciding, okay, I'm going to start protecting my mental wellness. I want you to schedule it in the same way you have a vague schedule of when you're going to brush your teeth and when you have to do your shopping and what time you're going to prepare meals, those types of things. Scheduling it in so it becomes part of your to-do list. It becomes part, and some people may not even have a to-do list right now because they're at home and they're kind of managing their own time. But again, for some people, just having a vague plan and a to-do list for the day can help just make sure that you are getting everything done. If you're working from home, if you've got children at home with you, if you're in a new situation because you're used to having your time managed by customers or other people, now you have to manage your own time. Now's an opportunity for you to include specifically not just your academic goals or your work goals or the things you need to do for your family, but also to schedule in self-care. So self-care means things that are beneficial to you personally, not beneficial to everyone else. Self-care, things that are very important to make sure that you are doing well. So this would include things like setting a bedtime and a waking up time, because again, right now might just feel like, even if you're an adult, it might feel like it's just summer holidays. I'm gonna go wake up when I feel like it, go to bed when I feel like it. But the problem with that is most people, when they stay up late, they're staying up late entertaining themselves in front of some kind of a device. But, fair enough. I'm sure some people are staying up to talk and to, read and those kind of things. But there's a significant number, I'm sure, of us who are staying up and entertaining ourselves in front of a device. And when you can't be bothered to skip, you can't be bothered to skip. So Netflix recommends something and you're like, oh, go on, let me see it. Let me watch a little bit of it. You're on YouTube, it just goes to the next video for you. Let me see what this video is about. You can just, you're on Facebook and it just starts the next video as soon as the last one finishes. You can end up in that cycle. And then again, you're going to potentially expose yourself to things that can be triggering. And just end up consuming trash. The other important thing of setting bedtimes and waking up times is that sleep is really essential to mental health and wellness, physical health and wellness as well. There are several books that you can find. I think two of the best ones that I've found is a book called Lights Out by T.S. Wiley, and a new book that's just recently come out called Why We Sleep. I can't remember the name of the author, but Why We Sleep. And both of those books speak a lot about the importance of sleep for physical and mental health. And we're talking about mental wellness, and it's really important that you are refilling your cup on a regular basis and not going to bed super late, waking up late, or possibly going to bed late and still waking up early because you've got children waking you up or you've got other things waking you up, but you've just kind of fallen into not such a great pattern. So scheduling in self-care means being a bit strict with yourself and being a bit disciplined, or just putting some boundaries in place for your wellness, where you're setting your bedtimes and waking up times. Also planning in exercise. Some people are doing quite well with this because they're at home, they've got more time, they're just off their own fruition, exercising more. They've set up, their equipment in their house or in their garden, or they're going for walks around the park. Even though the gym is not open, they're still sticking to it. But if you are not one of those people that are sticking to it, I would recommend that you plan an exercise. Exercise helps to release endorphins, which are happy hormones. So if you are feeling stressed and anxious at this time, that can obviously help with that. And it also helps create a sense of achievement, because sometimes we get to, when we're getting a barrage of negative information coming to us, and then we start to work out how we can have a positive impact on the world. And if there are big things that are happening that we don't feel like we can contribute to necessarily, it can make us feel like we're not doing enough, or what more can we do? And then that can have an impact on our self-esteem and our self-achievement and our self-confidence and all those kind of things. especially if you're in a situation now where like finances is a challenge, you're not sure how you're going to work, you might be a business owner, you're not sure how your business is going to adapt. All of those things can create even more mental wellness challenges. So when you are exercising on a regular basis, that will give you not only that release of endorphins, those happy hormones, but it will also give you a sense of achievement that you have successfully completed something on a regular basis that you know is important and beneficial for your health and wellness. The other thing I would recommend is to give yourself time now to include more healthy foods in your diet, because again, I know a lot of people feel that they're not able to produce and prepare more healthy foods because of the restrictions of them going to work and traveling and commuting and all those types of things. So now if you do have more time at home, because I fully understand that I have a lot of key workers that are watching me, nurses and doctors and people who like delivery drivers, and not everyone is going to have more time at the moment, but for some of us who do have more time, I would recommend that we use this time to include more healthy foods in our diet, because most people are aware of the link between your food and your mood, and the more healthy foods you're taking in, the more vitamins, minerals, micronutrients you're taking in. They feed and nourish not just your arms and legs and your heart, and you make your skin look nice and all those kind of things, but they're also nourishing to your brain and your brain chemistry. If your brain chemistry is out of whack, it can affect how you are processing thoughts and feelings, and it can make a bad situation feel even worse if your brain chemistry is out of balance because you're malnourished in some kind of way. Which leads me on to my other point, which is to make sure that you stay hydrated as well, because your brain uses water as a fuel source. So if you're dehydrated, it's going to make thinking generally more challenging, which is why people did notice that students in school were able to focus better when like the soft drinks were taken out of the vending machines and there was more water that was available to the children. They were able to concentrate better during classes. I would also recommend that you plan in times to treat yourself, because again, it can feel like right now, there's not, and if people are concerned about, eating healthily right now, but there's not as much access to healthy food, then I did a whole video that you can find on my Facebook page, where I was talking about how to eat healthily during this time, where it gives more tips and suggestions on how you can still continue to eat healthily even if you don't have as much access to healthy food at the moment. So I know right now it can feel like, this is a bit of an emergency situation and we don't have as much freedom to do and, explore all the things that we would normally like to explore and treat ourselves in normal ways. But it's important now to also make sure that we are treating ourselves and doing nice, kind things for ourselves, whether that's making sure we have a nice bath, aromatherapy bath. We are not just staying in kind of house clothes all day. We're dressing up a bit. Look, I put my earrings on today. Fancy earrings on today. Because as a housewife, a mother at home, home educating mother, working from home a lot, I notice the difference in how I feel when I do, come out of the shower and do my hair and get dressed and put earrings on, as opposed to kind of just walking around, not feeling like I'm putting some effort into myself. It feels like a bit more of a treating yourself to, again, making yourself nicer foods that do take longer to prepare, treating yourself and maybe to playing a board game or to giving yourself time to read a book or watch a movie. I don't think anyone is challenged with finding time to watch a movie right now. But things that you don't normally give yourself time to do, that are going to be beneficial to you, now is an opportunity. I would strongly recommend you give yourself that time, you reward yourself, you treat yourself, and that is really like self-love, love in action, doing something to show yourself that you love yourself. The next thing I'm going to recommend so the first thing is to schedule in self-care. The next thing I'm going to recommend is that you set goals and affirmations for happiness. So again, right now it can feel like, what's the point in setting goals? I can't even go out as much as I used to. This is closed, that's closed, this is shut down, there's uncertainty about this. I understand there are a lot of challenges that are happening at the moment, but based on your current situation, you can still give yourself some time to sit in stillness and work out how you can make the most of this current situation. What can you do and achieve in the situation that you're in right now, where you maybe don't have as much freedom, maybe finances are not as abundant as possibly they were before, you maybe don't have the access to be able to go out and meet people and network in the way that you were able to before, but That's focusing on the things that you are not able to do. How can you focus? How can you achieve things now based on what you do have access to? Because we are in a super hyper connected environment. This situation happening now is makes it so much easier than had this have happened 10 or 15 years ago, when we didn't have all the social medias, we didn't have email, we didn't have so many free video conferencing services and live video services. And there are so many things that we have access to now that we can use to allow us to achieve goals, even if they're not specifically how we would normally have achieved them. And again, what you can also focus on is what you are going to do when the tide turns, because the tide is going to turn, things are going to change again. We're not going to be on lockdown forever. So setting goals and then affirmations from those goals. So you have a goal and then you have an affirmation that reminds you of what that goal is based on what you want to achieve now. So instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what you can do. So you might set a goal to learn a new language, to reach a particular goal of weight, to reach a particular clothes size, to write a certain amount of pages in a book or a business proposal, or spend a certain amount of time with your children or your family members. There are so many things that you can focus on achieving right now. You might want to like redecorate or reorganize your whole house. There are so many things that you can focus on right now. And that is what Thinking for Happiness is. It's focusing on what you can do, focusing on your circle of influence as opposed to your circle of interest. So Steve Covey in his book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People made the differentiation between us having a circle of influence, which are the things around us that we can definitely control, and then your circle of interest is all of the things that are happening around you that you do not have any control over. And a lot of us focus so much and spend so much time consumed in our circle of interest, worrying about things that we can't do anything about, and we neglect to spend as much time as we possibly can in our circle of influence, where we can definitely make changes. So I'm going to recommend that you create some affirmations. I am going to do this. I am going to achieve this. I am going to have a salad every day, or I am going to make a smoothie every morning, or I am going to exercise for 45 minutes a day, or I am going to complete this book. I also wouldn't recommend that you because what some people I feel could possibly do on the flip side is put too much pressure on themselves to come out of this lockdown like a completely different person. And for some people, the subtlest changes are going to be the most impactful. So you don't have to have written a whole book or created a whole new product line or transformed yourself physically entirely by the end of this lockdown. I wouldn't want people to put pressure on themselves in that way, because that's not beneficial to your mental wellness either. But setting some goals so that you're focused on positive achievements is going to be useful, and then saying those affirmations to yourself on a daily basis, or writing them somewhere so that you can see them regularly, so that your thoughts are focused more on these are the things that I want to achieve that are going to positively improve my life, as opposed to these are the things that I'm lacking or that I don't have or that I can't do. The next thing I'm going to recommend you do is practice gratitude. So there's so much information out there about how practicing gratitude, and again, this is specifically focusing on the things that you do have as opposed to focusing on the things that you don't have, has such a beneficial impact on your mental and emotional, and then your physical health also. So you are going to focus on the things immediately in your environment, the things that are just outside your environment, and then the things globally that you are grateful for. And then you're going to express that through journaling, through writing thank you notes or thank you cards, or sending text messages or emails, and then little acts of kindness to those around you. So whether you choose to journal in a great big gorgeous hardback journal like the one that I've just released, Health, Happiness and Harmony, which you can find on my website, thenaturallyyoucoach.com, or whether you decide to journal on some pieces of paper or in a notebook, however you want to journal. So one of the things that I do before I go to bed on most nights, because I don't journal daily, I just aim to journal consistently, so it's at least 3 or 4 times a week, is I write down 20 things that I'm grateful for. And then after I've written those 20 things, and sometimes it's not 20 things, sometimes it's 17, sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 30, but I will write down the things that I'm grateful for every evening. Most evenings or consistently. And then if I want to journal more after that, I will. But I focus on starting with expressing gratitude for the things that are around me. And again, that keeps you focused on abundance as opposed to lack. The other thing, and then, yeah, when you have acknowledged that you're grateful to your mum because she just called, or your husband or your children, then you can deliver some acts of kindness their way as well. Whether it's, again, just sending them a funny video, or sending them a card in the post, or doing something nice for them that you know that they would like and appreciate. Because again, then you're putting more positive energy out there as well, which all helps with our mental health and wellness. The next thing I'd recommend that we do is prioritize on meditation and stillness. So when you're scheduling in self-care for yourself, one of the things I would recommend that you do, whether you are a seasoned meditator or you don't meditate that much really anyway, now is a really good opportunity for you to implement that. And the first thing that you can do is literally just practice deep breathing. As when you wake up in the morning and before you go to sleep, when you get into bed, is just literally sit still with your eyes closed and take some deep breaths in through your nose, hold it for a moment, and then breathe out, exhale fully out through your mouth, and then do that a few times in a cycle, because that process of deep breathing and oxygenating the body is very relaxing and calming. It can be quite invigorating as well, depending on how much you do it, but it can be nice and calming and relaxing, because most of us are not breathing properly throughout the day anyway. So just doing some deep breathing, and then when you have done some deep breathing, you've put yourself into a calmer state, then you can work on beginning to either focus on one positive thing, or the process of clearing your mind of thoughts. The second one is a lot more can be more challenging than the first one, but the first one is useful because it helps you to practice on focusing. So just focusing on one thing. It can be on one word, it can be a sound, it can be an image, it can be a person, but just spending some time to focus. Other people will, after they've done their deep breathing, they will focus on listening as intently as they can, and being in an environment that's as quiet as possible, and listening as best they can, so they can pick up all the sounds around them, as well as listening for the messages that could be coming through from their ancestors that could have been blocked out by the noise that they're continually subjecting themselves to. You can also use apps like Insight Timer, like Headspace, so that you can do guided visualizations or mindfulness meditations, whether they're guided or whether they're just timed. You can use apps like that can kind of help you through the process if you're a complete beginner and you feel like you need some help. And there's also a lot of people who are doing online group meditations that you can find as well on Facebook, on Instagram. So everyone basically just logs in or tunes into a live like we're doing right now, and then everyone on the live will meditate at the same time, following the guidance of the person that is facilitating it. The next thing and the last thing that I would recommend that we do is to monitor your physical and mental consumption during this time as well. So so becoming aware of your triggers, your mental triggers and your physical triggers, so that your triggers are the things that you know are going to get a negative response. So if you are dairy intolerant, you know that dairy is a trigger for you and it's going to trigger some digestive problems. Or if you are sensitive to pineapples, you know that pineapples is a nutritional trigger. It's going to make your tongue burn, or it's going to give you a headache, those types of things. And then you might have people around you who are your emotional triggers, that you might know that every time you have a conversation with a particular person, they're going to say something to rub you up the wrong way. And obviously you might choose now is the time for you to work on that, and why is it this particular person always rubs you up the wrong way? Is it really all with them, or is there something that you're not acknowledging that they're bringing up out of you? But it is important to recognize what your triggers are in each area. So physically, becoming mindful of your physical consumption, understanding that things like stimulants, stimulants and things that are considered neurotoxins can have an impact on your brain chemistry, again making it more challenging for you to think in a balanced way. So things like alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, sugar, MSG, aspartame, all of those foods and substances can have not only an impact on your physical self, but on your mental and emotional self, and it can actually interfere with the chemistry of your brain, which is why, again, children who have less of those foods that have those things in them and are exposed to those substances less tend to be able to focus more at school, do better. They don't have as much violent outbreaks. And it's easy to kind of do this, testing and look at these observations in children, because most adults don't like being told what they should and shouldn't consume and eat and all those kind of things, because it's one of the main freedoms we have is what we allow ourselves to eat and drink when we're over a certain age. But it's important right now to understand that if you feel that your mental wellness you're not looking after yourself mentally enough, that being mindful and having some consideration about the things that you are taking in is going to be beneficial to you, to make sure that you're not eating foods that are going to trigger negative mental stimuli in you. Then there's also, mentally, when it comes to mentally being mindful of your consumption. I know we're on Facebook right now, but I would definitely recommend that you actually put that if you normally access things like Instagram and Facebook through your phone. I'm not sure how it works with Facebook, but I know with Instagram, you can actually go into your settings and you can set limits on how much you can use, how much you can be on Instagram, and before it will send you a notification. So I have like a 30-minute timer that goes off. So if I've been on Instagram for 30 minutes, I'll get a little warning saying you've been on for your daily limit. I would also recommend that you have set times where you go in and check your social media. I know that the statistic is something crazy, like most of us pick up our phone 2,000 times a day or something crazy like that, or 200 times a day, something ridiculous like that. We pick up our phone, and most of the time we're picking up our phone, it's not because it's rang or there's even been a notification. We're just picking it up out of habit and boredom. And a lot of these social media apps and websites, they actually put things in place. They design their interfaces and the way their notifications come through to make you open those apps as much as possible, because then they get more eyes and then they can sell more advertising, basically. So it is something that's is a lot more easier said than done, but it would be useful for you to have kind of, again, if you feel your mental wellness is not being looked after right now, this can be beneficial to seek to limit when you pick up your phone and when you open your app. So if I actually had to turn off my notifications for WhatsApp, because my notifications were just popping off all the time. And there's so much research that's been done about how we respond when we hear those notifications and how it's like programming us and makes us release endorphins when we hear these kind of things. I was like, okay, I just need to turn off my notifications. So I turn off most of my notifications. I still do pick up my phone more than I would like to, but then I also have, I'm in the process of training myself to only pick up my phone at certain times, and to have long stretches of time where I know where my phone is, but I do not go to my phone. So there will be where I won't go to my phone at all. I'll make sure that I'm not touching it, just to kind of break that habit that a lot of us are in, unfortunately. So that's one of the things you might want to do. And then when it comes to things like Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups and those kind of things, it is perfectly fine right now to remove yourself from WhatsApp groups, to block contacts from being able to send you messages, leave groups and pages on Facebook, unfollow people on Instagram or Twitter or wherever you are. If you feel that there are certain people that every time they deliver stuff, it's triggering you in some way, it's making you feel uncomfortable, it's making you feel agitated, it's stressing you out, it's depressing you, whatever it is, if you have someone that's just constantly sending COVID-19 stuff and you just do not want to hear it anymore, it is absolutely fine to block them, remove them, ask them to stop sending you stuff. If they don't, block them, remove them, remove yourself from that situation, protect yourself, and monitor how much content that you are consuming digitally that can have an impact on you mentally and emotionally. So those are the 5 things that I would recommend, is to help to protect your mental wellness during challenging times like these. Is number 1, schedule in self-care for yourself. Number 2, set goals and affirmations of things that you can achieve right now that are positive, and say those affirmations on a daily basis. Number 3, practice gratitude as an actual act. So recognize the things you're grateful for, and then for the people and the things that you are grateful for, express your gratitude to them, whether that's through journaling, thank you notes, acts of kindness, those types of things. Number 4, I'd recommend that you prioritize utilize meditation and stillness as a tool for stress management and and relief, and helping your mind again to focus more and to just reduce the onslaught of information that's coming in with us, and having that time where your mind can just be is very important. Number 5, monitor your physical and mental consumption at these times and act to remove the things that you think could physically be triggering unhealthy mental stimuli, things that are unhealthy mental stimuli, and things that you are taking in mentally that are triggering you negatively as well. So those are the 5 things that I recommend. Thank you so much for joining me today on this live video. Again, if you want to get your hands on a copy of my latest book, Health, Happiness and Harmony, which is a guided holistic health journal for wellness, you can find it at my website, thenaturallyyoucoach.com. There's also podcasts and articles and videos that are in the blog section. There's natural health and wellness supplements and products in the natural health store on the website. And if you want to find out about working with me one-to-one or with online programs, you can go to the coaching page. I'd also recommend that you join the mailing list. I only send out emails twice a week at the most, just to let you know when I'm going live or when there's more information coming out. Greetings, sis. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm glad you find that helpful. Thank you, sis. So you can find out when different things are happening. If you join the mailing list, you're going to be the first to find those out. And there are some big things that I'm planning in the next few weeks that I'll be able to let you know about, and email subscribers are going to be the first to know about those, and there will be specific discounts specifically for e-zine subscribers as well. So again, my website is thenaturallyyoucoach.com. I will be back here on Friday at 1 o'clock for another live. I hope you have a good evening. Take care. Oh, greetings Agnes, thank you so much. I'm glad you found it helpful, and you keep well too. Thank you very much. All right, take care, family.